If you are the victim of debt collector harassment from Encore Receivables, Lemberg & Associates will fight for your rights to deliver the cash compensation you may be entitled to. We make lawbreakers pay. Abusive collectors are liable for up to $1,000 in damages, plus court costs and attorney's fees. Reclaim your life, gain peace of mind, and stop law-breaking debt collectors in their tracks. In the past, Encore Receivables Management was a wild and woolly debt collection agency based in Olathe, Kansas. Many consumers complained that it was common practice on Encore Receivables' part not to identify themselves when they called, ignore cease and desist letters, misrepresent themselves as the owner of the debt, and engage in other abusive practices. While it appears that the incredible bad habits of Encore Receivables have been toned down a bit, they were still sued in federal court 5 times in the past 12 months for violations of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, or FDCPA. If you are receiving harassing calls from Encore Receivable Management, then there are a couple of actions you should take. Even if you legitimately owe the debt, you have rights under FDCPA. This law prohibits harassing behavior on the part of third-party collectors. Understanding that it can be frustrating and difficult to deal with a harassing call, you still have to keep your cool and document the calls and the conversations. Federal law prohibits collectors from calling before 8 a.m. or after 9 p.m., so record the time of each of the calls. The law also disallows excessive calls, which has generally come to mean more than 3 calls a week from the same agency about the same debt. Many consumers simply ignore phone calls from debt collectors. However, you should answer the phone at least once. If you speak to the debt collector and they violate your rights under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, you may be able to stop unfair collection practices. In the past, Encore Receivable Management was famous for calling and then hanging up without saying a word. That activity, along with any refusal to identify the real name of the collector or the collection agency, is also a violation of the FDCPA. Why keep a log? What should you do with all this information? The FDCPA allows for consumers like you to collect actual damages that the illegal activities caused, plus up to $1,000 in punitive damages, plus reasonable attorney's fees to pursue the case. You may have debt, but you also have rights, and it's important you understand your rights in order to prevent debt collector abuse and regain peace of mind. The legal team at Lemberg & Associates is committed to holding debt collectors accountable and will fight for your rights under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act.